To tonight's call. Let's see. Thank you for hitting that record. Who do we have on the call? Hey, Renee, Sanjeev, David A, Doris, Edwidge, Eileen, Gino, Karen, Lynn, Maboob, Maxine, Mrs. Charles, good to see you, Rose, Marshall, and I saw somebody else coming on in, Marlene Stewart. All right. Good evening, everybody. Small call this evening, which is perfect because we want to just kind of chit chat with some of the folks that are on this call. You guys are core to our community and this project. And so there's a couple of things we want to talk about with you guys. Tonight's call may be shorter than normal, but we think we have something really important, really valuable to share with you guys. But we want to just kind of jump into tonight's call. It doesn't look like we have any guests. I think I recognize every name on the call. So doesn't look like we have any guests on the call. So how about tonight, unless I'm wrong, somebody indicate to me so that we don't miss anybody. And if you have a guest and they show up on the call, please let us know. So what I want to do tonight is we want to talk about what's happening in the market. Sanjeev is going to hang out with me tonight, and we're going to talk about what's happening in the broader market. And we're also going to talk about what's happening in our project. And we're going to look at those two things kind of side by side and answer some of the questions. What we want to leave today's call with is how to clearly understand the fundamentals, how to look at the project in the light of things that are going on in the broader market. A lot of times we get questions about, what's going on with the price. So we have questions around price action. And so we want to have a conversation around those two topics. And then before we leave today's call, we're gonna introduce you guys to something that we've been working on and that we're released for everyone. But if you're on this call tonight, we're going to give you a sneak peek into a tool that we've been developing and actually using in the background with folks that we're introducing to the community. So let's start by just talking about what's going on in the market. And because we're such a small group, guys, and we all know each other, I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, participate with me, jump into the conversation with us tonight. We'll just kind of keep it casual. All right, hey Juma. Oh, Juma's connecting to audio. Juma, hey brother. Juma, it has to be what is it, 6 a.m. where you are?
Hello guys, how you doing? Hope you are doing well. You are okay?
We're doing wonderful. Good to see you here, brother.
Thank you, man. Juma from Dubai.
Yeah, so it's got to be like 6 o'clock in the morning where you are.
Yep.
Thank you for getting up and hanging out with us.
Thank you.
So yeah, so today, guys, we're just going to talk about what's happening in the market. Anybody have any thoughts, questions about what's going on in the broader crypto market? I'm assuming that even if you're not paying really close attention to it, you are at least aware of what's happening in the market. Any thoughts or comments about what's going on in the broader crypto market? I know I'm gonna stretch us tonight. There you go, Gino. Thank you. Yeah. I'm gonna stretch us to talk. Gino, come on in. Hey, brother.
Well, yeah, how you doing? We've all seen what's going on with the main crypto market. Everything is going down every day, and if you've had Bitcoin, I'm sure you're not very happy these days. And I'm looking at our DeFi portfolio, our wallet, and I see we've gone down a little bit, but not like the major coins. So that is very comforting to me, at least.
Yeah, definitely a major takeaway for me and for us as a project. And we watched the broader crypto community be in turmoil and totally. I don't think we anticipated what happened in the last couple of weeks, and it doesn't seem like it's quite over yet. And of course, there's some global macroeconomics at play here. We'll talk a little bit about that. And but it is reassuring when you look at your own portfolio as it pertains to this project that we haven't been suffering the same struggles that the broader crypto market has been. And let's talk about why that might be. Before we do that, let me ask Sanjeev. Sanjeev's going to hang out. We're going to just kind of bounce back and forth a little bit here today. Again, for those of you who joined the call a little bit after we just got started, tonight's call is going to be a little bit more personal. So we're going to ask you guys, participate with us. Feel free to unmute, ask questions, contribute to the discussion. We're going to leave here today, hopefully having accomplished a couple things. We're just going to talk about the project in light of the broader the broader environment as it pertains to crypto. Hope you guys leave this discussion with a little bit more clarity about why our project is performing the way that it is. Some people have questions about price action. Some people have broader questions about what's happening in crypto in general. So we'll talk about the project as it pertains to those two things. And we're setting the floor, the foundation, so to speak, for an ongoing discussion that we want to have that dives into some of these things that we're going to talk about tonight that we consider fundamentals when you're looking at this project. So really exciting things that we're going to get into. And a lot of this is, with the outlook of how do we help people understand what's powerful about this project and why they might want to participate. And I want to kick tonight's discussion off by saying, I think everybody on this call knows that we decided a few weeks ago to make the decision to become a node in the community. And we did that for a couple of reasons. At the core, the core reason for doing so is the same reason that I think any one of us on the call tonight, we all share a similar interest, and that is that our money is invested in this project. And so what's the best way to protect this project? And the number one answer to that is get understanding, get clarity about the project for you as an investor. And then the number two thing is invite and build a community that's supporting this project. And so if we start with the foundation of education, such that when people come into the community, when they come into the project, they're not coming in with the idea of short-term gains. They're not coming in with what we often refer to as a trader's mentality, but they come in with and they gain an understanding and an appreciation for the roadmap and the long-term opportunity. And the more people that we get into the project, that we introduce to the project, that are able to come in with that kind of mindset and that kind of frame of reference, what it ultimately does is it protects our own investments. Our investments, as we'll see in our discussion tonight, are in a large part protected based on the consensus of our community. And for those of us who've been around since the 225 event, we saw that play out in a very real way. We the community decide whether this is an amazing project or whether it struggles. And so the beautiful thing is that we've been a little bit isolated, or mostly isolated from what's happened in the broader market. But tonight, let me finish that thought. So tonight we're going to hopefully leave you with a little bit more clarity about what some of those fundamentals are, and then tease some of the conversations that we're going to dive into. And we're having these discussions to help new members, existing members, have a better grasp on what this project looks like. And we're going to introduce you to, we're going to tease you with a tool that we're working on. We're going to release it for everybody, for the public here in the near future. And it's a calculator that Sanjeev's been working on. So we're going to show that to you. We've been having some one-on-one discussions with investors and key influencers and so forth in our pursuit to build a community. And so we've been using this tool with fantastic feedback. So we're going to introduce it to you guys tonight, and then we're going to make you a really, really cool offer, something that we want to do to be able to, and by offer, I don't mean we're not selling you anything. We're going to offer you a way to participate with us in getting a better understanding of the project. All right, so Sanjeev, come on in, brother.
Hey, dude.
We're all family. We're all family here, so you guys all know Sanjeev. So we won't belabor the introduction. Sanjeev's going to hang out, and he'll be my co-host, or we'll co-host together here tonight. And we're just going to have a conversation around what's happening in the broader market, and then we'll follow that flow that we just discussed. So Sanjeev, talk to us about your thoughts. I mean, you obviously are, maybe a little bit of introduction before I ask you to go. So Sanjeev, somebody I met a year ago, well, almost a year and a half now. And I remember, our initial conversations, this whole crypto world was fairly new to Sanjeev at the time. And I've just come to really appreciate how much he's absorbed and personally invested in his time and his money to get a mastery of this space. And so I know Sanjeev pays attention to what's going on, thinks about it, interprets it. And so I appreciate you hanging out with me today, talking about what you're seeing. So share with us some of your thoughts about what's been going on in the last couple of weeks in the broader crypto market.
I would love to. Thank you, David. As many of you know, the Bitcoin is pretty much at a 20-month low is what we're looking at as of today. Now, why are we starting a discussion with Bitcoin? Obviously, it's the father of all crypto. It is the only, and everything else is considered an altcoin, right? So that kind of dictates the market as an overall. Couple of things that are triggering that, first of all, is as we're getting away from the 2021 year of 2021, where it was at its all-time high, almost 62, 64, right? And then the latest events that happened, a series of events, right? Or when we're talking about it, it's UST Luna, right? Every one of you know what happened with UST Luna. It's the pegged coin that went wrong. And followed by that, Celsius, something else happened this week, right? Celsius completely froze transactions. There's a huge loss there for folks that can't even pull their money out. They froze transactions. So did Coinbase too, I believe. They said they can't sell or buy CEL, which is also a token by Celsius platform. That's a Ethereum-based token, slightly different than Luna, but still, there's a couple of these indicators now dragging it even further down the Bitcoin value overall. And I think, in my opinion, David, it's just that there's a lot of folks are now asking the question, right? Is it really an industry where I can put my money in? Everyone starts scrutinizing it. When things go wrong, everyone is scrutinizing it. It's just how the human nature works. Everything is good. People are making money. No one even wants to look under the hood. But when things start going south, you start questioning all of this. You know, is it, and including, combined with that, Carlos, he talked about it on Monday, right? You know, what's going on around the world with the war and everything else. And there's regulation. Now, US is probing into a lot of these, Binance, starting with Binance, they're probing into a lot of these infrastructures where they say, all right, it's got to be regulated. You got to register yourself, even though you're a DAO, you have to register, you got to do your KYC, which is quite the opposite of the intention, right? So when you look at all those things combined, people are under that fear. And I shared that with the larger group on Monday, the fear and greed index. I want to go back to that, David. I mean, because this is real, right? We looked at on Monday, we saw that it was at 8, and today it's at 7. So it keeps continuing to go down. This is a very good measure, and the market reacts to all of this. This is based on, it's a compiled data from 6 to 7 different sources, volatility, market movement, social media, what's happening, right? Dominance of a certain particular coin and trends. It's a really good tool. If you have not made a note of it on Monday, and if you're curious about it and want to look at it, this might be something that you want to make a note of. It's alternative.me/crypto, and this comes up, right? So kind of correlates to over a period of time. If you want to look at it, the last 3 months, March was 60, which is perfect, right? Everything was up. And then from there, you're seeing a big drop here. So, which you can go back to almost a year, you know, what's happening. This was extreme, it's the opposite. It's a greed, right? It's like now on the other end of the spectrum, going to 79. The balance is about 50. That's where everything is humming. These parts you can expect. The minute it goes about 60, you can start expecting that there is a turnaround that's about to happen. Right? So a couple of things you want to make a note of. That's kind of what I had in my mind, David.
Yeah. So what we're looking at, if you keep that screen up for just a second, So a couple of interesting things to note. This chart's all over the place. Is the first thing. It's up, it's down, and it looks like we're at a all-time low in terms of we can reinterpret that as consumer confidence in the crypto markets. And this is the reality of the world that we're in, and oftentimes you'll see the markets follow a very, very similar trend. And so right now, it's what I did find interesting is you were showing us a screen just a moment ago where the greed index was actually at 11 last week. Do you still have that up? That was last 7 days, maybe we were looking at. I think it was another card. But yeah, we were looking at fear and greed index was somewhere like 11 last week, and we're at 8 when we looked at it on Monday. We're now at 7.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is that number moving, right? So, what does that indicate? Are people starting to feel like maybe we've shaken out all that there is, and we're coming down to a support level for Bitcoin and then the rest of the industry? Who knows? But what we do know, and what we've seen from this chart, is that we're at a place where people have extreme uncertainty, and so that extreme uncertainty drives behavior in their overall market. So now let's contrast that with our project. Let's talk about what's happened in our project. So Sanjeev, highlighted some things, obviously, that we've all witnessed in the last month or so. Luna being a big one of those, UST crashing. We saw some, just in terms of headlines, I think it came out yesterday, Justin Sun committing $2 billion with a B dollars to protecting Tron and USDD, their stable coin. Questions about USDT, like there's all of these questions in the market. And of course, there's the global implications of inflation, and the Fed just raised 0.75% here in the US. And so all of these things are happening and impacting consumers. And of course, for those who have large portfolios, the thing that you tend to off the earliest or sell the earliest are your riskiest assets. And so part of what we're seeing is a sell-off of what more traditional investors believe are risk-related assets. And so crypto is flying out the window. Now, that also means that at some point we find the happy medium where the buyers and sellers, have kind of balanced out, and then the buyers see the opportunity to start buying again because the assets are so cheap, and then the market starts to recover and go the other way. Macroeconomics, what's going on in the broader parts of the world, may hold us in this space for some time. There may be some uncertainty going forward. So we'll see what that means for the broader crypto industry in the next couple of weeks. But let's dive into our project. Sanjeev, can you take us to let's go straight to the pools. I think you probably have that up. So let's go into not the pools, into the farms. And let's take a look at what's happening in our project this week.
And I think this is what you were referring to a minute ago when you said a month ago it was 8, and the last week it was 11, yesterday it was 7, and today it's 7 too. So yeah, definitely trending in that direction. All right, let's take a look in the farms today. FSTSwap, as most of you know, yeah.
So let's start with talking about a couple of things real quick. So FISH USDT pool, I want to pause for a moment and just kind of highlight FISH USDT pool. And I'm going to say that we're going to talk a lot about and focus a lot around the FISH USDT pool going forward. So a lot of our references when we talk about what's possible in the project, we're going to be using the FISH USDT APR as kind of our measuring stick for where this project is. In the coming calls, we're actually going to take our farm system and the APRs and what we're earning here, and we're going to put that up against some other farms in the industry as well. So we'll actually get an idea of exactly, what is this thing that we have, and how does it compare to the broader industry? Is this a real opportunity, or is this something that we're just playing with? Is it a real opportunity compared to other projects? Do we have something special, or we just happen to stumble into this particular project? So we're going to take a deeper dive into some other farm systems. We'll do that. We'll make a big deal about it because it's a really important discussion. So look out for those announcements. And but the FIST USDT pool, I want to just establish for us and for those of us participating in the community why this is such an important pool for us. One of the most important reasons is that there are two, well, the main reason is that this is the pool that most people are coming in and out of the project. USDT is how most people are finding their way into the project. And FIST is the pair, as we all know, the currency pair that we need to pair with every other token in the project. So we've got USDT, which is the most commonly used stable coin. So it's the way that we're going to find most folks show up in the exchange. And then once you get here, you need FIST. So the stability of this liquidity pool is incredibly important. And right now we're at $236 million in liquidity, 48 million FIST tokens in this pool alone. I think we've all been around long enough that we understand the power and importance of liquidity pools and their stability in terms of the long-term success of the project. So I won't go into a lot of that here today, but I will say we're going to focus primarily on USDT. I'm going to ask you guys to stay with us there for just a little bit. The second reason is that there's a second earning potential that's attached to the FIST USDT liquidity pool, and that is the opportunity to earn FRT. And then what you do with that FRT puts you in a position to then increase your earnings overall throughout the project. And that FRT is important for two reasons. One is that it gives you access to that second APR. And then secondly, it also gives you access to voting. It gives you access to be able to have a voice through the node that you vote for. And it's easy to discard that, but I want to emphasize why you shouldn't. Every single one of these projects, these crypto projects, you see, Luna and the fact that it crashed. After the crash of Luna, what you saw was the community of Luna coming together and making decisions about what they would do next. And the ability to gather the voice of the community and allow them to speak on their own future is a really powerful thing that only can happen at this point because of blockchain. We can take a really disconnected community from all around the world and we can give them a voice. And that FRT that we're getting out of this USDT FIST liquidity pool is essentially that voice. It's how we exercise that voice. We're fortunate that we have a relationship with Paul, who's directly connected with the developers. But as the community continues to grow, the best way for us to be able to exercise how we'd like to see the governance of this community where our money is invested is through the voting system that the community has established. I think it's a brilliant system because it really drives the intention of the community. And that is that we've got nodes that are competing to be in the top 37. And by competing, they're looking for ways to serve their communities and to do great things so that they're gaining votes. And of course, your vote is then your representation within that node, within the community. And we haven't gotten to the point in the project yet where we've gotten into voting and governance. So that's something that may seem a little bit arbitrary at this point, but it will become more and more important as this project continues to mature. So right now we have the benefit of earning in the pools. Let's for some context. Anybody remember what our APR was about a week ago in the FIST USDT liquidity pool? Any idea? Sanjeev, do you remember?
23.98.
23.98.
Yeah, I think
the APR for the FIST USDT liquidity pool.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. My bad.
Okay, that's okay.
I think it was close to almost 120, if not 140, something around that range. Yeah.
Got it. So what we've seen in the last week is we know it was in the triple digits, right? So let's take the range. Let's take a nice round number. So about 130%. In the last week, we've seen the FIST USDT liquidity pool go from, let's for argument's sake, and Sandy, can you go back to yeah, there we go, to the APR page.
Oh, the APR page. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Yep. Stay right there for me. So right now today we're earning right around 78% if we participate in the FIST USDT liquidity pool. All right. I want to take this conversation. I want to show you guys a tool that we've been building. And Sanjeev, I'm going to ask you to stop sharing just to make sure that we're set up to show it. So we're going to show you a tool, a calculator that we've been using in conversations with investors, with key investors into the project. And we're going to show it to you guys. We're working on releasing this onto the website. myfstswap.com is the website, right? We're continuing to develop it, add new additional resources. We've got videos, explainer videos, and all kinds of cool stuff that's coming. And this is probably the most powerful thing that I think that we could do here, which is we're going to show you a way that you can help, that we can help you through this tool be able to see your own portfolio and a new investor understand the power and the potential of the project. And we're going to show you something. We're going to show it to you from a very conservative standpoint, and then we're going to make an offer to everybody that's on the call today before we wrap up. And of course, we'll open up for some Q&A. All right, Sanjeev, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, cool. So let's jump into it. We're going to open up. This is a calculator that Sanjeev has been working on, and we appreciate all of your effort here, sir.
Absolutely.
And the purpose of the calculator is, I'll just kind of walk us, I'll set it up and then I'll ask Sanjeev to walk us through it. So the purpose of the calculator is multifold, but I think for all of us here, we've been a part of this project since it was Pengu. And when it was Pengu, it was an amazing story. But really, for the most part, it was a story. And we were investing, if you were with us last year in the summer, fall, and winter, we were mining for PGNLZs. We had no idea what they'd be worth, or we didn't have much information. We were kind of in a waiting game, and there wasn't a lot of formal structure. Today, there's an immense amount of formal structure around this project. We have a vibrant, active DEX with 30 different pools, dozens and dozens of different token pairs, and we are mining for a token called FON that we can see its current day value and cash out on that value every single day. So it's a very different project, but in its evolution, it's become a whole lot. It's become a bunch of different pools and a lot to understand. So that maybe that's the most challenging thing about the project today, is that it's become more complex in its maturation. It's a lot more data and a lot more information. So what we wanted to do here is we wanted to tell the story in numbers. What's the real opportunity that somebody has if they decide to get involved in this community and this project? And so this is the story of the numbers. We're going to use the number. We're going to use $100,000 as a round number, but I think everybody knows on the call that we can start this with $100. We can do $1,000, $100,000, $10 million. The number doesn't matter. The numbers that we're going to pay attention to are APRs. Like what kind of return can I get, and what does that mean for me over the course of a year? So Sanjeev has gotten this built in. We have a couple of factors that we take into consideration based on these numbers, and that is the token price is reflective of today's token price. So FST at 245, OSK at 35.32, and FON at $8.10. The reason I bring that to everyone's attention is that, as we all know, these numbers can fluctuate. They will fluctuate. They will be something different likely tomorrow, next week, and next month. But let me ask, is there anybody that thinks that we're at risk of losing a lot of value in any of these tokens? I don't. I'll say, I think that for FST at $2.45, there's a lot of confidence that as this project is growing, we should see the price of FST likely increase. OSK, we know what its potential is. And FON is still new, but we are building towards a blockchain that's coming in the next couple of months. So probably a lot of upside potential with FON. And at the end of the day, we're mining it for free. So these numbers are all based on today's values. And of course, those values can go up or down. I think that we have a good chance of seeing the core tokens in our project continue to go up. All right, Sanjeev, I'm going to hand it off to you. Walk us through what we're looking at here, and then we'll come back in and take some questions.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, David. So for everyone who's looking at the screen, please stay with me. I'm going to walk you through this calculator. There's only really two columns that we have to pay attention to. A lot of it is just what's happening in the background and the data. But let me walk you through that really quick. The main aspects of this calculator are this is a daily price of the 3 major tokens that are changing. And you have an investment of, let's call it about $100,000. And how is that investment distributed? What do I mean by that? We got 5 major pools. I didn't include PGNOZ because not everybody has the PGNFT. So I kind of excluded that. But if these are the 5 major pools, how is your investment distributed? So that's what this percentage is on the left here, where it says percentage of investment, which is 80, 10, 5, 3, and 2. These are some numbers that I picked based on what suits best for this project, and also the returns, right? Not just as in a moment of time, but on a long run. What is that best rate of return that we're going to get? Now, and in the last section here, where it says token economics compounded, that's the piece we're going to get to. That's even that gets really, really interesting when we get to that part. But first of all, there's some assumptions here. I think David touched on a couple of them. The rest of them are the token value to remain at this current level. Let's be honest, I think we're in a bear market today. So there's only one way up from here, which is going up. And then the farm APRs. These are the APRs that we've listed. We've seen a lot of change. They are prone to change. It is not just FSTSwap. Any pool that you're in, it's a given. It is going to change. It's a matter of it's just a matter. That's how it works, right? The liquidity increases as the time goes on. The project matures. It goes up and down. The node APR as well. As more number of people are voting, the node APRs change. And a gas fee. Keep that in mind. That this calculator does not include any gas fee. I'm not taking that into account. There's about 50 cents per transaction on an average, right? And this is something that I've derived from about 100 transactions I did in a matter of 30 days through my BSC scan. So these are some of the main assumptions that we have to keep in mind. Some of them have some downside, some of them have upside, but nothing too drastic. Okay, now that we've taken that out of the way, assumptions, big part of the, because as we all know, crypto is a high risk, high reward, right? So it's gotta keep those assumptions in mind. Now, this example here takes about $100,000 in investment in the pool, right? Not in the wallet, in the pool, of which 80% is being distributed in the FSTUSDT pool. Today's APR is about 79. What does that give me? About $173 per day. The same fashion, the next best is Fawn. Again, the reason I picked Fawn USDT is because it's not just the APR, it's the 24-hour volume compared to the liquidity, right? We can go back and look at it. That's how I pick, because those are supposed to be the most stable. The ratio between your 24-hour volume compared to the overall liquidity of that pool. The higher the ratio, the better it is. And then the multiplier, right? So combined between these 3 levers, that's how they are also classified on the pools tab. When you say you pick order by hot, this is exactly how they're ordered by FSTSwap. We'll take a look at it in a minute if you want to. But okay, so that's we distributed 10% in that pool, 5%, 3, 2. You don't have to. We can do it all in one pool, right? You don't have to, but this is kind of diversification, right? We just wanted to make use of that as well. So what this example is telling us is if we have about $100,000 distributed this way in 5 different pools, we're making about a $224 return per day. What does that mean? $7,000 per month. Really interesting, right? I mean, these are like some really low numbers, but still, that's about 7% per month, month over month. Even at the slow dollar values, I'm not even, like I said, I'm not even touching that aspect of the upside. We'll leave it there, right, as a backup or even an upside. And then to make it even, take things even to the next level and get really, really creative or even interactive is, what if I'm compounding? what if I'm compounding once in every 7 days for next 12 months? Now your APY, right? So whenever we compound, I think we talked in one of our previous conversations, it's no longer an APR, it now becomes an APY, right? So the 82 now became 125%, just because simple act of compounding for 1 year. Not every day, once in 7 days, right? I'll showcase something. What if you really get jiggy with it and you want to do it every day? It even gets even better. But let's call it, we're busy. We can only look at it once a week. We'll only do that on Sundays or Saturdays, whenever that is. For next 12 months, you're looking at a return of 125K, 126 almost, right? So overall investment now becomes 225. So the 100,000 that we started becomes 225 at the end of 12 months. Let's do something really quick. I think that's amazing, guys. I mean, there's I've been part of some other projects and I'm still part of 3 other, but nothing gives this sort of return. They don't even come close, and we can talk about that too. But now we're looking at it. What if I compound every day for next 12 months? Frequencies. Okay. What if I'm doing every day for the next 12 months? It increased, but not by a lot, right? But I want to refresh that because I don't believe that is true. Give me 1 second. Okay, sounds good. So that was for about 12 months. Going back to that example, 126K, that was every day. What if I did once in 7 days? It was, now what if I'm only doing that with about every day for 30 days? We're not even looking at a extremely long term, right? So for about 30 months, every day. So 3 years, approximately 3 years, right? So this is a 7-year project. That's the reason why I'm picking up these huge numbers. We're looking at almost $1 million here. Now, is it too good to be true? Maybe it is, but we have a path to get there, right? Are we going to stick to that path for 3 years, or are these numbers going to change? 3 years is a very good time. 2025 is our next halving. What does that mean? We're going to see a huge peak in the crypto world, 2025. So Bitcoin halving happens at that time. So really good path. Let's change this to just a 10,000.
Let me jump in before you change anything real quick. So let's make sure that we clarify a couple of pieces here. So because we may be at different points in the project. So we're talking about compounding, and that totally transforms the dynamic of what happens here. And just so that everybody's clear when we talk about compounding or what's happening in the farms. So we're in the farms, and the APR that's represented. When we were looking at the Fish USDT liquidity pool at 79%, 80%, for example, what we're earning is FON. And so these numbers that you're seeing in this scenario, daily revenue of 224, that is based on the current value of FON. So we're earning a certain amount of FON tokens, and based on today's value at $8.10, that's what your daily revenue is. Let's change one thing for just a second and take FON, for example, token price, Sanjeev, and just make it around $10. Not a huge change, but let's take it to $10, and that didn't change our, you must have something in the background. I think it's probably in your cell.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to do something really quick and get back to it.
All right. So, and we don't need to mess with it a whole lot. The point that I want everybody to take away from here is that these are super impressive numbers. You know, what we're talking about is 84. That scenario before we get into compounding is something like 84% in a year. And let's talk about what is required for an individual to access that kind of earning potential. They've got to open a DeFi wallet. they've got to be able to get access to USDT or BNB to get started. And then they've got to decide how much they want to invest in a liquidity pool. And so they've got to put the, this is based on primarily going into the FISH USDT liquidity pool. So they've got to get access to those tokens. All of that happens through our DEX, right? So you're going through the FSTSwap DEX and you're getting the token so you can participate in these various pools. Once you've done that, that's it. The pool does the rest of the work. And so this is incredibly passive. The hardest part of it is getting our heads wrapped around, why should I do this? Why should I even be a part of this project? Why should I tell my friends, my family, my neighbor about this project? Why should I be excited about the potential and the future value of this project? And part of what we want to be able to demonstrate in this initial conversation, and then the conversations that we'll have going forward in the coming weeks, are answering those questions. What makes this project really solid? Why should I be paying particular attention right now? And two of the reasons for that is we're mining. Go back to the thing I was just sharing, which is the APR is FON that we're mining. So we're receiving FON in value every day, and that FON is going to change in its value. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. Goes up just a little bit. Everything that we're looking at on this calculator changes dramatically. Now, the other thing that we're going to look at here is how that compares to other pools, and what are other pools, what are other farms paying rather. And the fact that we have just started our mining process. So in this particular project, we have the ability to mine FON, and we're mining 30% of it here in this first year. So everything that we're doing right now is going to give us the best access, the most access to FON. The community's the smallest it's likely ever going to be. So that means that the FON that's being distributed, we're getting an outsized proportion of it compared to what we're likely to get going forward. Right, so we're earning FON as at the very beginning, as the greatest percentage of FON is being distributed amongst the smallest number of people, which means that today, right now, this project represents likely the greatest of the opportunities that you're going to see in terms of its evolution. We're going to have more and more people attracted to the project, which means that FON gets further and further distributed. So we think that it's an amazing opportunity right now for people to be able to access and get involved in the project. All right, Sanjeev, let me know when you're ready and you can jump back in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready. Can you still see my screen?
No? Yep, you're good.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I've just changed the example to a $10,000 investment, right? Distributed something very similar. But what if I was just putting everything here, right? I'm not distributing anywhere else, just putting everything in FISH USDT. How does that look? Still not bad at all, right? So it's very similar. This is on the 10,000. We're just to compare apples to apples. Let's make this 100,000. Let's see. So in the previous example, we had about $224 per day, and now we have $216 per day. APR was 82. Now we're at 79. I mean, obviously straightforward, but there's an aspect of node APR that we haven't even touched yet. There is also that's the benefit of being in this tool. There's two ways of making money or earning rewards in FISH USDT, and that's the only one that has it. The others don't, right? Because once you're in a FISH USDT pool, you earn something called FRT by default the minute you add liquidity there, right? Use that when we use that FRT to vote to a particular node. I think the average yesterday was about 25, 30, something around that number. So I'm going to use 25 just to be very, very conservative. Now it just changed our 214 to almost 284. That's pretty good, right? That's a pretty good return on investment right there. And our APR goes back to almost triple digits right there. So really powerful. I think there's a lot of value in this project. And I, for one, am super excited, obviously. You guys can hear that in my voice. But this is a tool that I think is really useful. We can start looking at how to best utilize our investment to get the maximum rate of return. And we can change it too. Like I said, I just changed it to 100% in one pool. You don't have to necessarily go into all the pools. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about the calculator, David. I don't know if I missed anything else.
Yeah. No, just stay here for just a second. So, I've mentioned a couple of times that we wanted to make an offer to those of you who are on today's call. So here's the offer. The thing that we think is important for us as a community to be able to do is to first really grasp the project and to grasp it in a very personal way. And we've had the benefit of, we're tweaking the calculator, and as I've mentioned, we're going to publish this so that everybody has access to it on the website. The site, for those of you, again, Renee, do me a favor and drop that in the chat. MyFSTSwap.com. It's a replica of the help center that the developers published. Eventually, our collaboration is to replace the English version of the help center with what we're developing on MyFSTSwap. So, we're building out a little bit more utility. We've got the entire community element of what we do and who we are in terms of this project. So we're building out additional resources and tightening up the content on the site. The calculator will show up here on the site for you guys as an additional resource. So I want to talk about the reason the calculator is important and what our offer is to you guys. I'm going to stop sharing here for just a second. So here's the offer: is we want, for those of you guys who are, consistently show up and have been participating in this project and still have lots of questions that, maybe you can't even think of what the question is while we're on a group call, or maybe you're not comfortable asking that question in a group setting. Maybe the support calls are not necessarily ideal for you. So what we are going to do is, in the next couple of over the course of the next couple of weeks, is we're going to offer to do small group settings. That's 2 or 3 people, where we get together and we just help answer any questions at all that you have about the project. We'll open up the calculator. I think there was somebody in the chat, iPhone. Thank you for your question, but I don't know who you are, so tell us your name. iPhone, the question about looking at a scenario with somebody that has a smaller investment. These are the kinds of things that we'd love to be able to do. Now, we're not getting together to give you guys financial advice, but we do want to make sure that, one, you have clarity about the project, that you have the ability to understand it for yourself, understand what's happening with your investment, and then to be able to have clarity about how to make decisions about where you might want to go. So we're going to publish the tool, but we want to make sure that you guys know how to use it and how to use it in a very personal way. So we're going to make that opportunity available to everyone that's on this call. And the way to take advantage of that is simply reach out to Renee. Renee's the co-host. So look for her and reach out to her either in the chat, just direct message her. You don't need to send it to everybody, and just tell her you'd be interested, and she'll need your contact information so that we can coordinate setting up a time for you. If you don't reach out to her on tonight's call, you can reach her in the Telegram room and just let her know you'd be interested in participating in a small group session. And the purpose of that, again, is to give you guys clarity, to empower your own understanding about the project, so that we collectively as a community then can explain it and introduce it to others. And at the end of all of that, the reason we want to accomplish that is that if we are successful at understanding the project, participating in the project with consensus, and introducing others who do the same, it protects our own investment. So it's in our own self-interest that we understand the project and we introduce it to others. And so it starts with those of you guys who have been here, been a part of the community, been participating on calls, have financially committed to the project. We want to make ourselves available to walk you through your own really personal understanding and allow you to answer questions, even plugging in your own scenario into the calculator and helping you make some decisions about how to best take advantage of the project. All right, so guys, hopefully that's of value to you. We've had some amazing meetings over the last couple of weeks, meeting with folks who are in the project or looking at the project, and we've got some amazing things that are coming out of that. So we're really excited about growing the community. We're going to do lots of different things. These calls are really cool. They've been a core part of how we how we've grown and communicated with the community. But we're going to go outside the walls of these calls, and this is one of the ways that we're going to do that is being really dedicated to the folks that have been dedicated to the project. All right, I want to open up and ask you guys if you have any questions, and let's take a couple of minutes for questions or comments. No questions. No questions. There we go.
Hey,
I
Brother
can always
David.
count on you. Thank you. Hey, Juma and then Gino. Juma, you're unmuted, so go ahead with it, and then Gino come in. You're up next.
Sorry, brother, about my question. So I want to ask you if you please can answer me. I was a bit away about the projects community. So just want to know if I want to like as I like the post you just guys shared about the how much you can make monthly or yearly. So I want to know that if you can please put it back. I want to know how can I make like monthly or yearly from this project. If you could please put that post again.
Yeah, Sanjeev, do you mind sharing your screen? Let's look at the calculator real quick.
Yeah, I think that's what he was referring to. I think he's talking about the calculator.
Yeah,
Yes.
Juma, did you have a specific question? Did you have a scenario that you wanted to look at? Or do you want to, are you looking for clarity on what we're describing here?
Yes, just about I want to know how if I put like 100,000 or whatever, 10,000 dollar USDT investment, how much I'm making daily or monthly. I want to know what's the API or what's APR. APRs mean
Yep.
yearly, yeah?
Did you say 100,000 or 1,000?
Yeah, 100,000.
Okay. So that's the scenario that Sanjeev has. That's actually what we just ran through. So if somebody invests, let's talk about what the 100,000 represents. So that 100,000 is going into a liquidity pool, and in this case, the way this is split up is 80%. We're participating in 5 different liquidity pools, and these are the core liquidity pools in the project: our FIST token, our OSK token, and our FON token. But most of it's going into the FIST USDT liquidity pool. And so with this scenario, if you didn't, in this scenario, what we're showing you is, let's take it line by line. So right now, Sanjeev has it highlighted on line number 10. So if 80% of that 100,000 was, and that's $80,000 in the FIST USDT liquidity pool, as of today, that farm is paying 80%. So right. Sanjeev, let's do this. Let's be even more conservative, because that number might still come down as we see the the activity in the broader market. So why don't we change that number to say 60%? Let's shave 20 percentage points off of all of these scenarios. Let's just do the same for the rest of them. Let's just shave 20% percentage points off. So let's look at a really conservative estimate of where the project is. So just for everybody, for clarity purposes, we're showing you a scenario today that we know pays 20% better on today's numbers than this scenario. All right, so in this case, if 80,000 of that 100,000 went into the FIST USDT liquidity pool, then you can see daily revenue on that first line, on line 10, is $131 in FON. So what you're getting while you're mining in this farm is you're getting FON tokens. Now that FON token today is worth $8.10. So at $8.10, $131 worth of FON was generated every single day. Now, if that FON value goes up, or if the APR changes, then that number is going to change. So this assumes that nothing changes, and of course, we all know that it will. So we put a nice 20% buffer in there, so we know that we're far more conservative than what's probably going to happen in the short term. So if we put 10%, that's 10,000. We went into the FON USDT pool. We're earning $21.92. And then you can kind of see the breakdown from there. So the total daily revenue is $172. just by participating in the liquidity pools and mining for FON. The FON token is just an added benefit. So if you were in this project a few months ago, we were mining for PG and LZs. The first step we took was get into the liquidity pool. And by being in the liquidity pool, we're earning transaction fees. Every single day that buys and sells are happening, we're earning transaction fees from those buys and sells. But we take it a step further, and now we're mining for our blockchain token, and that FON is what you're getting. Sanjeev, I want you to go to the site that we look at for compounding. Can you get to that real quick? You know which one I'm talking about? I think it's compoundcalculator.net.
So there is an option, David, there is an option in the farming, I can do compounding.
Yeah, it's not quite as, it isn't going to show quite the same scenario that we're going to show. The difference is we're going to take the total number. So when we're looking at the calculator, just now, we got a total number of what we can earn every day across all of these different pools. And so the farming calculator doesn't give us the benefit of looking at the aggregate of all of our earning and then taking that number and compounding it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use this compound calculator. We're going to say the principal amount. We're just going to plug those numbers in, and we're going to look at it on a very short window of time. We're going to start by looking at what happens over the next 6 months, what happens over the next 12 months by compounding. And we're going to do this compounding every 7 days, so once a week. So our principal amount, Sanjeev, is 100,000. And then we'll come back and we'll do this. We'll take a bunch of zeros off and we'll do the scenario the other way. Interest rate is, what was that rate on the calculator?
After being conservative, it was 63, let's call it.
Okay.
And we didn't even add the node here, so
Right.
you know how much I like the node APR, so. But okay, yeah.
Can we bring that calculator, just bring that tab over to the same browser you're in, so you don't have to bounce back and forth?
These are two different browsers, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just copy that web address and open it in the other browser. So that way we don't have to move between browsers.
I'm gonna do something a little bit probably better. Give me 1 second.
All right, while Sanjeev does that, any other, I know we have a couple of hands up, so let me see if we can cover. Quasi, you have a question as well. What is that, sir? Come on in.
Can you see both screens now?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, let me get Quasi's question real quick while you set up the scenario. Hey, Quasi.
Yeah. Okay, my question is, I started the node with Ann. That's the first one.
Yes.
And for the percentage share was 90 something. It's now 50%. So does that mean that what I'm earning is no more than what I was getting before? Because looking at the percentage, it has dropped. So
yes,
does that mean that it will affect what I will get from the node?
Yes, it does.
So
yeah,
with
go ahead. What's your question?
I can change it to, you know, a node or any of the farms that has a higher, you know, percentage share.
Yes, and you're asking a great question. So we'll come back and talk a little bit about that, because I know there've been some questions about node APRs, and we're staying away from the node APR for just a little bit, because I want everybody to understand how powerful the project is, even before we add those sprinkles on top of the cake. But we'll come back and we'll talk about the node APR and maybe some options for you, Quasi,
Okay.
as you're seeing things changing.
All right.
All right, so Sanjeev, you got us built up. We have 63% APR. We're gonna compound every. Can we change that to weekly?
Yes. All right.
Oh, I think, you're in the daily compound interest. Can you use the first tab, the compound interest calculator?
Yeah, I could change. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right.
There we go.
Next to 3, which is APR, compounding interval. You wanted to do daily, yeah?
No, let's do weekly. No, nobody on this call wants to work that hard. We're going to do it once a week at the most. And if you guys want to knock it out every day, God bless you.
And we're doing that
I
for
think
about a year.
let's do 6 months. Let's start at 6 months first. All right, so we started with $100,000, 87% annual effective rate to APY, $36,000 earned in what's that period? 6 months. That's saying I'm going to take the fund that I'm earning, I'm going to reinvest it back into the pools, and I'm going to do that once a week for the next 6 months. And in the next 6 months, I've earned 87%. That's super powerful. That's $36,000 in a 6 month period. Let's shrink that period. Let's look at 3 months. What happens if nothing changes over the next 3 months? What's my earning potential? So we took that 100,000 and we made almost $17,000 with it. And then let's stretch it out to a year. What is that? What happens over a year? $87,000. Let's go a little bit further. Let's take it 24 months. And let's assume nothing changes in the next 24 months. What is the potential if we did the one activity of reinvesting the fund that we earned every month?
Monthly, right? That's what you meant?
Still no, stay on weekly and just change the total months to 24.
Oh, for 2 years. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So super powerful numbers. Another $250,000. Again, assuming everything stays the same. Let's change that $100,000 initial balance to $1,000. What does that do for us over the next 2 years? All right, so $1,000, somebody gets started. If they add no additional money in the next 2 years, we've taken that and $2,500 of new money that we've created, and it's all passive. Well, not all passive because we are compounding. So you have the activity of cashing out your fund, reinvesting it into the pools. The reason we wanted to show these two scenarios side by side is, there is the today earning power and potential of being in the farm and getting that daily earning, and then there's the long-term view of, what happens if I allow this scenario to go on for a few months. All right, so Juma, did that help give you some clarity?
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much, brother David, Sanjit. Thank you so much, guys, for your support. Amazing, brother, amazing.
Awesome. And Juma, this offer that we just made goes out to you. So, these are the kinds of questions that I think a lot of people have, that if we have an opportunity to spend more, some one-on-one or small group time together, and in doing so, we can be a little bit more flexible. Not everybody can make it to a call that's happening right now. And so we can be a little bit more flexible in meeting with our community members and really helping you guys to understand how this project can serve you, how it can serve your financial goals and objectives. All right, I think there was Gino. You had your hand up. Do you still want to come in, Gino?
Really quick, David, if I can interrupt.
Yeah, please.
So the same thing that we did on the website can be done on this calculator. I just wanted to showcase that really quick. Same example, right? We're talking about just $1,000 investment at a 62 with the same scenario we got. We are only, we're once in every 7 days, we're compounding for the next 24 months. We're getting the same exact, right? So you got 24.93, 24.98. So very similar, right? So it's, I think one of them takes 365 and the other one takes 360, something like that. But the idea is you don't even have to go to this website. This one does it all for you. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Awesome, Sanjay. Thank you.
Yeah, the only value on the website is obviously it'll tell you here in the table month over month. How is my portfolio growing month over month? As you can see, it's a long-term game. It's not a short-term game, compounding. The increase is very slow as you're looking at the first few months, but then it starts gaining a lot of traction towards the tail end of it. So yeah, that's all I wanted to add, David.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you. All right, Gino, did you want to come back in?
Yeah, I was debating if I would ask this question, but let me ask it anyways. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? To learn.
Yeah.
So,
Go for it.
my question is, I see that, you know, I watch this project like daily, hourly. I gotta say, I'm like addicted to it. I don't know why, but I am. But I noticed that when there's more buyers in the project and a token, for example, let's say OSK, there's a lot more buyers by, I don't know, $500,000, let's just call it. The token doesn't really move the way I was hoping it would move. But then when there's more sellers to a token in the data I'm talking about, the token does move on a downward spiral a lot quicker than it goes up when there's a lot more buyers. I wish there was a barometer to show us investors, and I'm talking maybe too deep here about how I'm thinking here, but if the barometer would show us, hey, if you have $500,000 more investors in a token, it should go up this much. Are you getting where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sanjeev. You want to talk?
Yeah, let me take that one if you're okay, David.
Yeah, go for it.
I hear you loud and clear, Gino, and I think your way of looking at it will be complete if you're looking at what price are they selling and at what price are they buying, right? That is the missing piece in your analysis, right? Because as you know, it's all a supply demand. If the sellers are coming in saying that OSK, I'm going to sell it at 35, great, right? That's the point that they agreed on. But if the buyers are coming in and buying the coin at a lower point, which is 31, so now your new standard is set up as 31. So I think that's the piece. I don't believe there is a place to find, but that's a very good question. So just to kind of summarize, it's not just the act of selling or buying, but it's the price point at which they're selling or buying will dictate the value of the coin.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense as well, of course. Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm curious, Gino,
Mm-hmm.
before you go, I have a question for you. So with that information, what would that do for you in terms of, you know, how you manage your investment, your portfolio?
Okay, good question. I mean, it's something I got to wrap my head around. I understand that people are buying and selling at different prices every second. So I know that, but to be honest with you, I'm thinking, okay, that may be the case. But if, let's say, they're buying, which they are every second at different rates, and I'm looking at the data and the data is showing me, hey, there's $10 million more invested here. I'm sure that barometer is gonna go upwards in a hurry. So if I see 500,000 up, I get it. It's gonna go up a little bit, but my point I'm trying to make is that I wish there was some type of tool that can calculate all of that, because that would really help an investor. But just
so yeah. So I'm gonna come back to my question. What would it help you do that you're not currently doing? What would that data? How would it change your behavior?
Well, if I wanted to invest in a token and I see it's going an upward spiral, and thanks to all the investments that are coming in, if $500,000 meant that it's going to go up by 50 cents, well, that would help me, because maybe I see, oh, it's up by 500,000. I see the tokens maybe going upwards. Maybe the next half hour is going to 600,000. The next half hour, 700,000. It could tell an investor to either put in or take out. It would give us more of an idea, right? So
Got it. So let me just share an idea. Tell me your thoughts on my response to your question. So my thought, listening to you, is you're describing what you're describing incentivizes the behavior of somebody who's trading against your coin, right? If the development team published a tool that answered that question, the only way that an investor really can take advantage of it is to make buying and selling decisions based on that barometer that you just described. And at least from my perspective, this project is really designed to be really long-term. That's kind of the benefit of the farm, being able to mine for the next 7 years. It's trying to bring, the liquidity pools, it's bringing investors into a long-term relationship that settles the temptation, for lack of a better word, to want to trade these tokens. So I think it's an important tool if that's what you're doing. If it's like, I'm trying to take advantage of the peaks and valleys, I want to know when to buy and when to sell. Seems like that's a great tool to have. If you're long-term investing, then it's in the liquidity pool, I'm in the farm, and the number that I'm looking at is what am I earning every day, and then at what rate am I reinvesting? And
No, David, 100%. David, thank you.
Okay.
No, this is why I didn't really want to bring this up, because maybe it was just for another day. You and I could have just talked about this, but I'm in this project for the long run. I've been here since last July, and I mine fawn, and I'm one of those crazy guys that does it every day. I harvest every single day.
Okay.
So I know I've listened to Paul many times, and I've been following what he does.
Well,
and I'll tell you,
I know you are
every day harvest, and I do that because I think it's great. So I'm in it for the long run. I guess I'm generalizing what I was talking about to other tokens, not necessarily ours, but all tokens in general. Okay.
Got it. Yeah, I know you're which is why I asked the question, because I know you're kind of unique in that you're really dialed into the project. So I was really curious what, as an investor in this particular project, how you saw that being valuable to you.
Yeah, and your proposition, your calculator tonight, I think that's great for all people involved in the project, so they can see as well. You and maybe you guys can make a comment that they can also use the calculator on the FSTSwap app, right? The application we use, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Yep, indeed. Thank you, Gino. Appreciate you. All right.
Yeah. Gino, you're not the only. I'm right there with you. I harvest pretty much every day. Yeah.
All right. Any other questions before we wrap up for this evening? All right. Again, hopefully this has been valuable to you guys over the next couple of weeks. What we're going to do is we'll do a deep dive into some of the fundamentals of the project. What we're going to look at specifically some other DEXs, some other farms, some other farm ecosystems and environments. We'll compare what's happening in the FSTSwap farms to what's happening in some other farms. We'll talk about who our competition is in the marketplace. We'll talk about the potential of this project, what we might become. So we'll look at some other projects that have already matured into the phases that we're likely going into in our future. And so I definitely want to encourage you guys to if you haven't, and if you'd like to get some clarity, schedule some time to jump into a small group session with us. We can, again, be a little bit more flexible in our time. We can spend as much time as needed to help you get clarity about the project and your particular participation, your particular situation in the project. Hopefully that's valuable to you guys. We'd love for you to take advantage of it. And we look forward to really building a vibrant, active, engaged community in the project that then helps support all of our financial objectives. Guys, thank you so much. Have a fantastic evening. Our next call is tomorrow with Carlos, tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern. Oh, by the way, today is Carlos's birthday. So please, guys, reach out to Carlos, send them some birthday wishes. And if you're on the call tomorrow, please wish him a happy birthday. Love you, Carlos, when you listen to this recording. We appreciate you and all your contributions to the community. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. Feel free to unmute, say your goodbyes, and we'll see you on tomorrow's call. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Felicidades, Carlos.
Good night, everyone from Alaska.
Yeah, good night.
Good night. It was a great, amazing call.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.